I'm Jamie Wheal, Executive Director of the Flow Genome Project, and you're watching 24 Life TV. We know that there's so many things bombarding us, looking for our time, our attention, and our willpower, that most of us are just out of it, halfway through a day. And if we can find ways to help people rekindle their fires and then put those fires towards living the best lives we possibly can, that would be a worthwhile project.
As the executive director of the Flow Genome Project, Jamie Wheal and his colleagues research the training of peak performance states, or the times when we feel and perform our best, the sweet spot of optimal performance flow.
Flow is an experience we've all had. Very few of us even have a name for it when we're experiencing it, but it also goes by the name in the zone. Jazz musicians call it being in the pocket. Way back in the 70s, they sort of call it the runner's high, but it's those moments where you lose track of your inner monologue or inner self. Your attention gets deeply focused in the present moment, and what you're doing feels effortless or fluid or flowy, which is literally where the name of the state came from.
Once pinned to supernatural forces and religion, it wasn't until the 1950s that researchers established that flow was up to the psychology of the individual.
And in the last decade or so, we've taken it even from psychology, these are just peak experiences I have in my mind when everything works, to neurobiology. And here's the foundational stuff that's happening in our brains and bodies that puts us into these states. So what used to be seen as supernatural is now just kind of super-natural. It's absolutely within us and accessible.
So how do you find your flow? According to Wheal, there are 3 different triggers: rich environments, ones that are unpredictable and changing at time, deep embodiment, and high consequence.
If I'm kayaking, or if I'm skiing, or if I'm feeling gravity in various ways, that's much more information into my self-system, into my body and brain. And that's another huge boost in prompting my likelihood to get into a flow state. So even little things that put us on the sharp end of feeling like, okay, this really matters, it heightens focus, it boosts our arousal networks, and if we do it well, if we get comfortable with it, rather than saying, oh, this is terrifying, and I'm a nervous wreck, saying, I'm actually excited by this, and I'm engaged by this. We can actually hotwire what starts as fight or flight into actually heightened performance.
Once you have experienced one of these triggers, you're thrust into the 4 different stages of the flow itself. Generally, it all starts with a struggle.
So flow tends not to just happen when we're phoning in life or we're just kind of going through the motions. Flow happens on the edges of our abilities and our experience. And typically, the first thing we experience close to those edges is, whoa, yeah, I'm not sure I can pull this off. So there's a phase of struggle.
Then comes the relaxation phase.
And there's a neurotransmitter in our brain called nitric oxide. And what that does is it flushes through our bloodstream and our brain, and it carries away a lot of the stress chemicals. And then it brings back into almost like a tide washing out the bad stuff, and then a tide coming in.
That tide coming in that Wheal is referring to is the climax of the flow state, the place where productivity is at an all-time high, and you're primed for success.
There's a lot going on in that state. You're both performing at your best, you're receiving all sorts of information and connections you don't normally, so there's almost always kind of a refractory period or a time you need to integrate and recover.
Recovery, the 4th and final stage of flow, is absolutely essential to the process. Recognize that you've just accomplished something amazing and meaningful, encourages Wheal. Now, it's time to take the time for yourself.
If you want one single thing to do to level up your life and work, it would be active recovery. Because trust that we're self-motivated. If we're rested and we're inspired, and point us in the right direction, we want to bring our best to life. We want to. So just give ourselves the fuel, and then our outcomes are much stronger. So enjoy it. Don't try and grab onto it too long. Know that it comes, know that it goes, and then recover. Look after yourself. Because one of the hardest things is flow feels so fantastic. We feel like Superman, that who wants that to go away, right? So let it go with as much grace as you welcomed it, and be gentle on yourself.
Read more about flow state in 24 Life, or check out Stephen Kotler and Jamie Wheal's latest book, Stealing Fire, now available.